Hello, Year 12. This video should be a really quick explanation of how to write or how to plan as well a good essay. I really want you to watch this video ahead of the assessment week next week, because this is possibly one of the things that could really limit how well you do. Okay, so let's imagine there's this question. So I picked a question at random. Faith is sufficient reason for itself. So you'll have roughly 35 minutes to write this. Give yourself a few minutes to plan it, first of all. So let's think about a plan. The first thing that you'll need to do is you'll need to actually highlight the key words and think, what does the question actually mean? Okay, faith, this means believing in something without evidence, with the absence of evidence. Sufficient means good enough. And for itself means gives evidence for itself. So what this question really is asking, and you might want to just translate the question in your own words, don't mention it in the essay, but what this is saying is faith enough by itself? Is it enough to just have faith? Okay, and this is a knowledge of God question. So this is saying, is faith in God enough? Or do we need more than faith in God? And more than faith might be evidence a posteriori, evidence in the senses, or a priori, evidence from reason and innate ideas of the sense of God, the divine. Okay, so the first thing that I would do after you've worked out what the question is saying is, in the opening paragraph, I would personally say what the key terms are. So faith is belief in God despite no evidence. And once I've said what the key terms are, I would say my opening opinion. And the opening opinion needs to have a bit of detail in it. Essentially, you need to say what you're going to say in the concluding paragraph. So I might say, for example, faith is enough, or is sufficient in itself. And I'm going to argue based on Hick and the idea of epistemic distance. Okay? Then what you need to do is I would suggest you have 2 paragraphs that agree with your opinion. Two paragraphs that maybe disagree with your opinion. They can be in any order. And then if you want to get a really high grade, the conclusion needs to analyze all of them. You need to try and analyze all of the points that you've made. Okay? So let's think about some basic points. So I might say for the first degree, Hick and epistemic distance. For the second degree, I might talk about Thomas, the story of the doubting Thomas. And Jesus said, even happier are those who believe in me without ever seeing me at all. If you're confused about this story, go to the extra resources for the Jesus lesson and go to the Miracle Maker. The last 10 minutes of the Miracle Maker explains the doubting Thomas story. Disagree, like I say, it's not enough, and I'll talk about Aquinas and the 5 tiers of law. That's why the 4 tiers of law. So different ways of knowing God. And I'll talk about Bonaventura, the different eyes of faith, the eye of reason and the eye of, the eyes, knowledge of God's eyes of faith and the eye of reason. And then I might talk about, to develop this, Tulkinghorn as well, who talks about two different binoculars. So it's important to have reason and it's important to have faith as well. Okay, so that would be sort of my rough plan. And the next thing I wanted to talk to you about is how to structure individual paragraphs. What I feel like some people are doing at the moment is not really writing good paragraphs because people are trying to squeeze too much in. And that doesn't really work. Paragraphs need to be simple. And what I mean by simple is it just needs to have one idea. One idea. Don't try and squeeze loads and loads and loads of ideas. Keep it simple. Other than that, all you need to do is you need to do the Peel structure. Now, in GCSE, this was point, explanation, evidence, explanation, and then link. But what we said a few weeks ago was really it's extra ease for the A-level. So points, evidence, explanation, evidence, explanation, 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 evidence, explanation, explanation, link. And that means you're really explaining it and going into detail and depth. So here are some sentence starters. You need to be saying this means over and over and over and over again. You need to be mentioning critics. So whoever this person is states. Okay, this can be argued against by. For example, okay, you also need to be beginning points with linking words. So alternatively, furthermore, on the other hand, having said this, and this is really important, you need to be linking back with the language of the question. Faith, sufficient, reason, itself. I expect to see the language of the question repeated over and over and over and over and over again. So it's really clear that you're answering the exact question. Okay? Please make sure you use critics. Please make sure you use short sentences. Short, easy, straightforward sentences. That's all I want. That's all I want. Please make sure you're also defining words as you use them, or defining keywords as you use them. You should be aiming for 4 pages. Okay, please just keep it simple. Nice and simple. Don't confuse yourself, don't complicate yourself, just say things that are correct and go into detail on simple points. Okay, if you have any more questions, please contact me on Teams. I don't think there's anything left to say. Good luck with the rest of your revision, and I will see you on Monday.